Well, Dave, the SpaceX Falcon 9 is going to launch from Vandenberg Air Force Base, and it's going to launch in just about a minute, maybe a little less here, and we should be able to see it right here in our night sky. And what's going to be very cool is because the sun isn't completely down on the West Coast, we should then see the sun hit the rocket. I'm going to get out of the way just in case this thing launches.
This attempt by the United States to control the ether was their attempt at world domination. This is a Russian document that I guess we stole from them, the Central Intelligence Agency. Published 1950. It was originally in the Russian language, translated. I want you to see this. This is what I was talking about earlier. The Russians were ticked off. Now remember, what is this? 1950. So we're going back, right, when they were trying to develop the ability to put things in these high altitudes. And it says the failure of U.S. attempts to attain supremacy of the ether. This was top secret classified. The Russians said that the United States is attempting to gain supremacy of the ether. This attempt by the United States to control the ether was their attempt at world domination.
Dark matter is just simply what we call this thing about which we know nothing, responsible for 85% of the gravity of the cosmos. If you don't understand something and the community of physicists don't understand it, that means God did it? Is that how you want to play this game? Because if it is, here's a list of the things in the past that the physicists at the time didn't understand. And a talk show you might have conducted 200 years ago would have said, the planets do retrograde? Can't understand that, must be a god. And we'd say, you're right. And then 10 years later we understand it, so what do you do? So if that's how you want to invoke your evidence for God, then God is an ever receding pocket of scientific ignorance that's getting smaller and smaller and smaller as time moves on. Dark matter is just simply what we call this thing about which we know nothing, responsible for 85% of the gravity of the cosmos. And God is an ever receding pocket of scientific ignorance about which we know nothing.
One thing I really want your generation to embrace is that the Earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the Earth.
Camera's not going to run without me holding it. The average D, 20 seconds. Ah, shoot. Okay, let's get off. Forget the camera. 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Port stage pushed. Engine arm is descent. Okay, I'm going to get the pro. 99, proceeded. 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Right away, Houston. Bets are good. Ag thought.
In 1961, President Kennedy boldly declared before a joint session of Congress that the United States would send a man to the moon and return him safely to the Earth within a decade. And as a nation, we set about meeting that goal, reaping rewards that have, in the decades since, touched every facet of our lives. NASA was at the forefront. Many gave their careers to the effort, and some have given far more. And unlike the previous program, we are setting a course with specific and achievable milestones. Early in the next decade, a set of crewed flights will test and prove the systems required for exploration beyond low Earth orbit.
Oh, okay. So if the Earth were actually this size, the International Space Station would be orbiting about a half an inch above the surface.
The plan that NASA has is to build a rocket called SLS, which is a heavy lift rocket. It's something that is much bigger than what we have today, and it will be able to launch the Orion capsule with humans on board, as well as landers or other components to destinations beyond Earth orbit. Right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back.
You know, the first lunar mission to the moon wasn't so much about going to the moon. It was about having an event so you can go high enough to take a picture after 500 years to prove it was a ball. Now, is it really them halfway to the moon?
We can still see the Earth through the left window, and it appears that we can see a floodlight off to the left, either that or some sun shining through the hatch window.
Well, they just turned out the lights in the cabin and pressed the camera up against the round window.
One thing I really want your generation to embrace is that the Earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the Earth.
It's just amazing. I mean, the numbers involved, the timing involved, it's a spectacular event.
If you were to ask me why the Earth is round, the simple answer would be gravity. Gravity pulls the same in every direction. It pulls all the matter of the Earth into a sphere. That gravity is the same thing that holds us to the Earth. And so this one sort of simple theory explains just this huge number of things. If you take away one of those pieces, then suddenly a whole bunch of things don't work.
What is gravity?
No idea. Okay, next question.
Wow.
No, here's the difference. We can describe gravity. We can say what it does to other things. We can measure it, predict with it. But when you start asking, like, what it is, I don't know.
Just like you would distort water if you put your fingers through water and waves propagate out, this is a propagation of the space-time itself. So the space-time is sort of moving in and out, propagating out at the speed of light. As the moon is going around, it's causing ripples in the space-time. And it's those ripples, these are minuscule ripples that are propagating out. And it's those that recently were detected, not from the moon, but from two massive, two massive black holes that were orbiting each other. And so they distorted the space-time enough that these waves that propagated out, they could be detected here on Earth.
Space is expanding and contracting, but the amount that space is expanding and contracting by is absolutely minuscule. So this big result that came up with this thing that they detected, the amount by which space was expanding over the many kilometers of their detector was less than the diameter of the nucleus of an atom. So it's an absolutely tiny effect. That's why we don't sort of notice them going past, because if there were big effects, you'd see kind of space doing all sorts of weird things. But because they're so tiny, we just don't see them.
And so when I went to school, the Earth was 2 billion years old. Now it's 10 billion years old, but I really didn't go to school that long ago.
Our goal is to promote authoritative content to our users. So the first way is by demoting low-quality content and promoting more authoritative content.
How you're dealing with all these conspiracy theorists on your platform.
So the first way is by demoting low-quality content and promoting more authoritative content, and the second is by providing more transparency for users. So we're introducing boxes that provide factual information at the top of results that have shown themselves to turn up a lot of information that is counterfactual, such as searching for the Earth is flat on YouTube, where you see a lot of...
Your response is to put a box saying, nope, the Earth is not flat.
Correct.
Well, speaking of bombs, what is it that makes America the world's greatest nuclear power? And what is it that will make it possible for us to spend $20,000 million of our taxpayers' money to put some idiot on the moon? Well, it was the great, enormous superiority of American technology, of course, as provided by our great American scientists, such as Dr. Werner von Braun. Gather round while I sing you of Werner von Braun, a man whose allegiance is ruled by expedience. Call him a Nazi, he won't even frown. Nazi schmazi, says Werner von Braun. Don't say that he's hypocritical, say rather that he's apolitical. Once the rockets are up, who cares where they come down? That's not my department, says Werner von Braun. Some have harsh words for this man of renown, but some think our attitude should be one of gratitude, like the widows and cripples in old London town, who owe their large pensions to Werner von Braun. You too may be a big hero once you've learned to count backwards to 0. In German or English, I know how to count down. And I'm learning Chinese, says Werner von Braun.
To the as yet unborn, to all innocent wisps of undifferentiated nothingness, watch out for life. I have caught life. I have come down with life. I was a wisp of undifferentiated nothingness, and then a little peephole opened quite suddenly. Light and sound poured in. Voices began to describe me and my surroundings. Nothing, they said, could be appealed. They said I was a boy named Rudolph Waltz, and that was that. They said the year was 1932, and that was that. They said I was in Midland City, Ohio, and that was that. They never shut up. Year after year, they piled detail upon detail. They do it still. You know what they say now? They say the year is 1982, and that I am 50 years old. Blah, blah, blah.
You can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly. We'd have way better CGI if it was fake.